My name is Joycelyn. I'm in charge of the administrative of this diploma in information technology as well as information technology foundation studies. Today, together with me is Mr. Tony Boone. He's the head of program for both programs. Hey, we are here today to share with you more insight on our IT program. Okay, without much further ado, okay, so over here you could see that for ITFS, which is the abbreviation for Information Technology Foundation Studies, it is actually a 6-month program. This program is designed kind of like to bridge over to for students to embark on the diploma level. Okay, the entry requirement for this foundation studies is 3 GCO levels. Now, so upon completion of this ITFS, students can actually move on to DIT, Diploma in Information Technology, which is a 12-month program. Now, students with 1A level or H2 credit, they need not join the ITFS, they can enter directly to Diploma in Information Technology. Now, the program itself is designed such as equivalent to the first year of undergrad program, so that upon completion of this DIT, right, students can progress to the university with exemptions direct to the second year, for example, University of Wollongong. Okay, so this is the admission criteria for ITFS, as mentioned, 3 GCO level or NITEC cert or higher NITEC cert. For DIT itself, we're looking at 1 GCA level or H2 level. Both qualifications, right, we require students to meet the English language proficiency, which is benchmarked against GCO level C6 or TOEFL 550 or 59 IBT or IELTS 5.5 or equivalent. Now, if you are not so sure, not to worry. Okay, when you put up your applications, our admission colleague will see through your application. If they notice that you do not meet the direct, which is the English language proficiency, right? They will actually write into you. Okay, for example, if your IELTS is 5.0, then you will be only offered for a CL level 5. So you will have to complete the CL level 5 before you progress to the either the ITFS or DIT, depending on what is your admission criteria itself. But if assuming that you don't have any of them, then you'll be invited to sit for this English placement test. Now, this English placement test is actually free of charge. Okay, so upon the results of the English placement test, then you determine which level you are going to embark on. Okay, now we do actually have certificate in English language for applicants who do not meet the English language proficiency. We start off with level 3. So we have level 3, level 4, and level 5. Right? So for each level itself is actually a 3-month program. And for this language certificate, we actually have 4 intakes per year: January, April, July, and October. Now, if you look at the timetable, it's actually quite intense, which is from Monday to Friday, every day at least 5 hours. The total contact hours is 200. Upon the first month, end of first month, you actually have the midterm course assessment. Then second month itself will be your end of course assessment. Now, all our programs would have attendance requirements. If you are a student holding on to student pass, then there will be this additional monthly attendance requirement, which is 90%, stipulated by this ICA. Okay, so you need to meet 90% monthly attendance. As a whole, we expect the students to have at least 75% attendance in order to be graded according to their academic performance. So students completed the CL would then move on to the qualification-based program, depending whether it's an ITFS or a DIT. All right, so next I shall invite Soko to give us more insight on this.
Okay, so yeah, thank you, Joycelyn. Right, I think Ms. Joycelyn here has elaborated a lot of information, right, for you guys to, if you're interested to enter the ITFS and DIT programs. Right, so for my presentation here, I'm going to start off by giving you some information regarding what are some of the trending careers you can find nowadays after graduating with an IT qualification. Right. So take note here, some disclaimer is that I'm not saying that if you take the ITFS and DIT, you can immediately get the career that is listed here. Right. So basically the career that's listed here is actually expecting a minimum of undergraduate or at least a degree, right? A bachelor in computer science or some sort. Right. So I want to share this with you because then you might be asking, some of you, why for students to pursue in this area is of course passion, right? And then another consideration that most of you might also be thinking is what do you want to do in the future, right? So in the IT industry right now, it's kind of going in an upward trend in terms of the starting pay, right? So many of the job actually requires the graduates to be at least skilled in some sort of software development or in some sort of software engineering practices and knowledge, right? So let me share with you here. Okay, so I'm pretty sure some of you might have heard of Ernst and Young. All right, so Ernst and Young, okay, they are one of the basically big four, right? In the past, now of course we have more than four big four already, but okay, Ernst and Young nonetheless is still one of the biggest company, all right, and they are also looking at AI consultant or some sort like a system analyst, right? And their starting pay is about 4,000 to 5,000 per month, right? So take note that the amount here I'm talking about is the starting pay right after, right, the student graduate from a degree program, right? So on top of Ernst and Young, KEY, there's also GovTech Singapore, right? GovTech Singapore, most of you, I mean, you should be using some application that is launched by GovTech, so that include Trace Together, as well as your SingPass, right? So of course, partnering with GovTech, we have other government bodies, all right, or rather public companies that are looking for IT graduates from SIM, right? So that also include IMDA as well. Okay, so on top of the public sector, and of course the Ernst and Young, we also have Apple and Google, right? So for some of you, maybe that Google actually has an office here in Singapore, right? So Google is also looking, well, they're always hiring IT graduates, right, in different area. So Google and Apple both are also paying, roughly about 4,000 to 5,000 per month. Okay, taking into account these are starting salary. All right, so this is not like you need to go in and work for a couple of years, that kind of thing. These are the starting salary, right? So their package is very, very attractive. And of course, for those of you who are looking for, those kind of work-life balance, or modern working space, modern working environment, right? Google provides that, right? Google provides that. So of course, not forgetting, okay, a lot of us also, we shop online, deal with e-commerce a lot. So Lazada, Shopee is also nowadays hiring quite a number of IT graduates, right? And of course, we have our Grab, and we have our many different uh, kind of like car sharing application, right? And those company are also hiring IT graduates, right? But of course, that, like for example here Lazada, when I say 3,000 to 5,000 per month, that's not exactly saying that, oh, does this mean that all these company are paying much lesser, right? It's not necessarily the case. It's just that it depends on the job scope, okay, that you're willing to do. Okay, but nonetheless, okay, if you're targeting an IT qualification at the end of your education journey, you would be definitely looking at jobs in this area, right? Jobs in this area. So basically, I want to also share, right, how do you start your journey? Okay, how do you start your academic journey, right, to actually go for your dream job or work in a dream company, that kind of thing, right? Actually, one of the first step here, for those of you with O-level qualification or NITEC, you can come on board with our ITFS, Information Technology Foundation Studies. So this full-time program, okay, like what Ms. Joycelyn has mentioned earlier, is a 6-month program that is meant to prepare students, right, for diploma in IT. and then subsequently, of course, an undergraduate program. So let me share about what is the objective of the ITFS. So ITFS basically has three key objectives, right? First of and foremost is of course to provide the foundation for students to appreciate computing, right? So in the first objective here, not only to provide the foundation, but also at the same time for students to explore their passion and their interest, right? Because some students might be saying, not sure, whether IT is something that they want, right? But they just heard from their friends, from their peers, IT is something that's very interesting, or it could be very tough, for some students. So ITFS is also a program for students to try out whether, IT and computing this area is something they would like to do in the future. Okay, so that's the first objective here. So the second objective is, of course, to provide students with a bridging, okay, opportunity. Okay, I will actually use the word opportunity for students who may not be able to enter a diploma in IT, right? So maybe they don't fulfill the admission requirement. Then in those cases, they can actually come on board with the ITFS program and then eventually progress on to a diploma in IT. All right, so that's the second objective here. And the third objective, so yes, we provide the foundation, we kind of give the student a bridging opportunity, but we also want the student to be equipped with the necessary skills and knowledge. Okay, not only for them to progress to diploma, but also in the future when they enter the workforce. All right, so you might be asking, you say, yes, you equip students with necessary skills, but what are some of the skills that students will learn in ITFS? Right, so in ITFS, you will be doing altogether 5 modules, right? And all of these modules, each of these modules here is crucial, right? Very, very crucial for your academic journey, even if you're talking about diploma or undergrad. All right, so the first and foremost is, of course, the study skills for effective learning. Okay, so that's not necessarily an IT module per se, but actually study skills will prepare students for academic writing. Okay, because if you embark on this journey here, right, you'll be dealing with a lot of report writing, right? And you need to write, you need to write effectively and write efficiently, right? So study skills for effective learning, okay, will teach students how to write report properly, as well as to prepare students, how to do proper referencing, proper citations. Okay, and these are all very, very important. Okay, if the student plan to go on to an undergraduate level, right? On top of that, there will be also two modules here that are kind of like a foundation module here. So one is called Introduction to Information Technology 1, and the other one is called Introduction to Information Technology 2, right? And short form, they are basically IT1 and IT2 respectively. So in IT1, students will learn the basic computing knowledge. So things like database, things like the software engineering practice, right? Things like networking. These are all the traditional IT computing topics. All right. So if you take a look at other kind of other diplomas from other institutions, you will find that there will always be 1 or 2 modules that cover some of the foundation computing topics. Okay, foundation meaning to say that those are the traditional ones, right? And then those traditional ones will help students appreciate the modern computing subjects, right? Things like big data, data analytics, artificial intelligence, right? Those are the modern topics. So you will find the modern topics in IT2, right? So in each of these IT1 and IT2, right, in each of these module, students will be actually exposed to certain key topics that are essential for them to progress on to a diploma. Right, so IT2 are dealing with the modern topics, whereas the IT1 is dealing with the foundation topics. All right, so the third one, sorry, not the third one, the fourth one, mathematics and statistics, right, is also crucial for students, especially for computing and IT courses, because computing and IT students will be dealing with programming, right? And when you talk about programming, you cannot run away from maths, all right? But just take note here, in ITFS, mathematics and statistics, okay, they are not there meant to penalize students who are not so good in maths. Okay, they are not there for that purpose. The purpose of the mathematics and statistics here is to bridge the gap, right, that student is lacking in for them to understand programming. All right. So they are not, say, the tough maths, they are not like, your A maths or your F maths, that kind of thing. They are not the kind of advanced mathematics that we're talking about. They are the mathematics to prepare you for IT topics. All right. And then last but not least, we have the web programming fundamentals. So for the ITFS program, students will be learning web programming, but only the front end. Okay, front end meaning to say that you'll be learning, how to develop a website, right? How to basically program the logics in the website, but not essentially, you will not be dealing with the back end per se, right? You will not be dealing with the back end. You will only be dealing with the front end. So those are basically, okay, to be frank here, web programming is kind of one of the easiest programming for students to pick up. All right. So basically, students need to understand, right, some basic programming before they can move on to more advanced programming language. Okay, that can be found in the diploma in IT. So for ITFS, right, it's all 100% continuous assessment, meaning to say that students will be accessed via case study, presentation, class discussion, group assignment or individual assignment, and then followed by quizzes and common tests. All right. So meaning to say that, all right, you will be kind of accessed throughout the whole duration of the ITFS. All right. So example, you might be doing your quiz in the first or second week, and then after that, subsequently do your common test. All these assessments are conducted during the term time. Right. So basically, if if you're afraid, if you come from O level, A level, you're afraid of the exam environment, right? So just take note here that you're not only accessed based on things like common tests, but you're also accessed things like assignment. Okay, all of these are very crucial when it comes to diploma and undergraduate program. Okay, so basically ITFS also prepares students, right, for what to expect in the diploma and undergraduate program. Right? So assuming that your ITFS, you find it okay, that's great. I love IT. I want to carry on with my IT academic career. Okay, then you can move on to the diploma in IT. Okay, or short DIT. So both the ITFS and DIT are all full-time program. Okay, meaning to say that the lessons are actually conducted during daytime. Right, daytime. So for DIT, right, the objective is actually pretty straightforward. The program is actually designed for you to actually learn more advanced topics in IT, right? So also taking into account, DIT actually is almost equivalent to an first-year undergraduate program, okay? Because eventually, if you do well in DIT, you will be able to get 1-year exemption from the undergraduate program. So one of them, of course, is the UOW, okay, IT degree programs. So for DIT, right, it's basically a kind of like a level 2 of your ITFS foundation modules. So in DIT, right, not only you will learn more advanced programming, but you will also learn more advanced topics, such as IT project management, which actually you could find those topics in the first year undergraduate program. Okay, so it's kind of like the bridge or the middle ground between a diploma and undergraduate program, right? If you think that way, right? So the DIT program, right, is actually 12 months, okay, and in total there are 8 modules. So in these 12 months, right, it's broken down into 4 terms, where each term is of course 3 months. So in each of these 3 months, you will take 2 of the modules here. Okay, you will take 2 of the modules here. So basically, okay, example, in the first month, if let's say you enroll in the April term, okay, so your term in April will be April to June, right? In that 3 months first term there, you'll be dealing with business statistics with Python, okay, and as well as problem solving. So for business statistics with Python and problem solving, okay, so these 2 are basically one of the introductory modules, okay, but don't be fooled by the term 1 modules. They are actually kind of very similar to a first year undergraduate program. Okay, very, very similar. So for business stats, right, it's actually to prepare students who are actually targeting, data analytics, that kind of field, or data science or big data. Okay, so that's for business statistics. So business statistics will also build on top of what students learn in the ITFS mathematics and statistics. Okay, then for problem solving, so for problem solving actually is a Python programming module. Okay, so Python programming is a slightly more advanced programming language as compared to web programming. So students in there will also learn about some of the data structure, like things like stack and queue in programming. All right, so problem solving is Python. So let's say you enroll in April, the second term, okay, it will be starting in July to September. Then in the second term, you'll be taking communication and networks, and then the programming fundamentals. So communication and networks, right, is basically, networks is all around us, if you think about it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure most of you use mobile phone, or you use laptop, or you use tablet. Then sometimes, you go out, you'll be connected to Wi-Fi, or you use your mobile data. All this is your networking knowledge, right? It's networking knowledge. So networking is actually a very basic computing subject that you will find also in any undergraduate program. Okay, they are very, very basic. So for programming fundamentals, you will be learning Java. Okay, Java. So Java is also another programming language that is slightly more advanced than web programming. So Java, you will learn, all the syntax as well as writing classes. But basically Java, right, is also another programming language that's used to teach object-oriented programming, okay, or in short, OOP. So students will also learn that. OOP is also crucial for students to enter an undergraduate program. All right, and then in their third term, okay, students will be taking database management and security as well as interaction design. So for database management and security, students will be touching SQL, another language, okay, structured query language. So SQL is a language for database query, okay, and students will be dealing with MySQL, okay, MySQL. For interaction design, okay, so what is interaction design first? So interaction design is basically all the theories, and all the theorems about, how do you design a user interface. All right. So basically, you are designing a user interface or an application that is friendly to the user. All right. So those is covered in interaction design. And then in their last term, okay, students will be taking IT project management and system development techniques. So IT project management is basically project management, but it's for IT projects. Okay, because some of you, after finishing the diploma and you move on to the degree, you graduate, you might become some sort like an IT manager, or some sort of IT analyst, and IT project management will come into play. All right, they will come into play. On top of that, okay, so for system development techniques, you'll be learning, okay, using different diagrams, okay, like activity diagram, use case diagram to illustrate the IT system. Right. So basically, DIT is like the whole package. All right, it's like the whole basic package for you to enter an undergraduate program. Okay, but take note here. I just want to emphasize that DIT, okay, in order for you to secure that 1 year exemptions in the respective undergraduate program, you must be able to do well. Okay, not just pass. Okay, you must be able to do well, show that you're competent in this area, and then you will be able to get the 1 year exemption. Okay, so similarly as ITFS, DIT is also a 100% continuous assessment module. Okay, meaning to say that it's exactly the same kind of assessment as ITFS. You will find quizzes, assignment, and common test. Okay, and students will be accessed during their term time. Okay, so this table here also shows you the modules available, or rather modules offered at each term. So for those of you, you are the fresh DIT intake, if you come in, you'll be coming in either in the April or the October term. All right, so if you're coming in the April or October term, you will follow this sequence here. Okay, module 1 to 8. However, if let's say, some of you might be wondering, if I enter ITFS in April, so which intake would I join then? So if you enter ITFS in April, okay, so you count 6 months later, right? So April all the way till September, okay, that's where you'll do your ITFS, and then you can join the DIT in the October term. Okay, in the October term. So at the same time, right, there are also, students who join ITFS, because ITFS, if you know, we have 4 intakes per year: January, April, July, October. So what about those who join in January? Okay, so ITFS students who join in January, do they have to wait for the October term? So obviously no. So if they join in the January term, they will be able to go in to DIT in the July term. So the DIT January and July term are actually kind of like a special intake meant for progressing ITFS students. Okay, similarly, if let's say after hearing this open house, okay, you feel like, okay, can I also enter ITFS, but I would like to start in July? Okay, and the answer is yes. So if you, let's say you join the July ITFS, 6 months later, which means you will complete ITFS in December, all right, 6 months later, so you will join the DIT program in the January term. Okay, so if you're joining in, let's say in the January or the July term, okay, you will be taking, okay, example, January term, you'll be taking 3 and 4, okay, and then in April, you will take 1 and 2, right? Then July, you will take 7 and 8, and then October, you will take 5 and 6. All right, so this is only for progressing ITFS students. For fresh DIT students, you will follow the sequence here, okay, module 1 to 8. Okay, so never mind, if you have questions on these, you can later clarify with us later. Okay, so if let's say you're also wondering, what are the undergraduate program that you can secure some sort of exemptions with a DIT, okay, you can actually find the list or in the brochure, right? So basically, you have RMIT, University of Wollongong, Birmingham, UOL, and as well as University of Buffalo, UB programs. So take into account that for DIT, okay, you can get exemptions for almost all kind of degree, okay, but the most efficient and straightforward path, right, is actually go for the IT degree programs. Okay, because if you take a look at the University of Wollongong, you can get up to 1 year exemption, okay, for the respective IT program, right? And then for non-IT programs, you will perhaps only get a few exemptions out of the entire whole thing, all right? So of course, the most worthwhile is to take a IT undergrad program, okay? So right, actually that's all I have for you guys. Feel free if you have any question, okay, you can check with us, right? Or you just type in the public chat. Okay, so thank you. Okay, so any question? We can take any question now. Okay. My A-level results are not sufficient to directly enter the UW course. Do I directly apply to DIT or will I have to start with ITFS? Currently, I have no background in IT and currently following your first year of national service. Okay, so I would like, or Joycelyn, do you want to address this question? Okay, now I'll address this question then. Okay, so let me answer your question one by one. Okay, so first, okay, because you're serving national service, all right, you would maybe want to apply after you ORD. All right, so that's the first thing. So after you ORD, then you apply. So you can't say to apply now and then unless you defer your national service, but that wouldn't make sense lah. So you can finish your national service, then apply for the program. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second, okay, the question that you ask is because you can't enter UW, do you go for DIT or start with ITFS? Okay, so the first thing is, of course, that you have to apply first, and then the admission will actually advise you. If let's say you fulfill the requirement for DIT, then you don't need to go through the ITFS. But however, if you don't fulfill the DIT requirement, then you will have to go through ITFS, DIT, followed by your UOW.
Okay, for this question, right, he mentioned that he has A-level results. If you have one H2, okay, if you have one H2, then yes, you can come in directly to DIT. No need to go to ITFS.
Need to do well.
Okay, so this question is asking in terms of exemption, what do we mean by do well in DIT before getting an exemption of 1 year? Okay, so for yes, like what Mr. Koh earlier has mentioned, okay, for if you are looking at UOW Wollongong, right? Okay, they are looking at minimum GPA 2.0. So if you actually have a minimum GPA 2.0, then you can get this 1 year exemptions. Can I use my IGCSE results to apply for ITFS? The answer is yes. Same requirement, 3 GCO level credit. Any other questions?
Okay, so another question here, if I have a A-level D in GP, will I be required to take an extra English test?
Don't
I
need.
do not have. Yeah, don't need, right?
Oh, because he's from IT, huh? Oh, he's from IT stream, IT. But IT stream, you do actually have, okay, but for this, I believe it's no need lah. You can put in, because GPD is still considered a pass unless it's D, right?
Yeah, D is a pass, correct.
Yeah, so if it's a D, then yes, it's okay. Can I use the DIT to apply for local university? If you're looking at undergraduate, okay, I'm afraid the answer is no. Okay, the reason is simply because okay, the local university will then need to support the local polytechnic lah. Okay, but if you are referring to the postgraduate like master level, then the answer is yes. Okay, so I think if you enter any of the, if you are actually asking for all full-time autonomous undergrad program, they are only recognizing the local polytechnic. Unless you're referring to part-time undergrad program, then there's still chances that they are accepting.
There's another question. If don't meet GPA 2, does it mean won't get exemption?
The exemption will be lesser. The exemption will be lesser. Actually, GPA 2.0, maybe Wibun, you would like to share, is it a very difficult task? Is it a tall order?
Okay. So for GPA 2, right, essentially you need to pass all lah. That's essentially what GPA 2 stands for.
No, not pass all. Pass all is only one. So it's
pass all is only one.
Yes. 2.0 is C. That means minimally all has to be get a grade of C.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so if your overall, so I believe based on our current students, they are all above, I would say lah, I think I'll dare to say that on average they are all above C.
Okay. C is actually 60 and above lah. So if that's the case, then it's not going to be a tough thing to get GPA 2. It's just 60 and above.
Okay, let's see if there's any other questions. If not, right? Yes, the maximum GPA is 4. If not, maybe we share with the current audience here, like some of the questions that yesterday the prospect asked in terms of, maybe you'd like to elaborate, like, I think there are questions such as, is the IT, in business the same as the IT in IT itself?
Oh, okay. So yeah, maybe I would also like to talk about that. So, okay, some of you might be also considering, say, what's the difference, if I take a business track, data science versus an IT track data science. All right. So, example, right, like what I mentioned just now in DIT, you'll be learning some programming, right? So if let's say you clear the DIT program, basically you'll be quite well versed in Python, Java, and SQL. So essentially, if you have all these three languages, right, you can basically kind of develop a system to do some data analytics for you. Okay, or in certain areas, this is called like a automated analytical system, that kind of thing. So if you go through the business track, however, okay, let's say you take a business track, data science, then you'll be dealing mostly with the statistical side of things. Okay, things like using the formula, to look at the prediction and then see whether the prediction is accurate. You'll be dealing more on that. So the IT side of things, you will also be dealing with some of this formula, but you will also understand how the whole system works. Right? So that's basically the difference. You can not only understand, you will also be able to develop your own. Okay, but if you go through the business track for data science, unlikely you will be able to do that. Okay.
Okay, we have here one question. I'll be taking IELTS in July. When will be the next intake to apply, and when is the closing date? Okay, so for both ITFS and DIT, we have October intake. Okay, so because here you didn't mention when July, but anyway, we don't have DIT in July. DIT July is only meant for progression students from ITFS. So for this, okay, you asked about whether you can actually apply, right? Since with the IELTS result only in July. Okay, so to apply for October intake, the closing date should be sometime in end July or early August. Okay, end July or early August. But what I can advise is that you can put in all your qualifications, everything in, then pending the IELTS itself. You can make a note to the admission to tell them that your IELTS result is only going to be out in July. So you will furnish the outcome. Then they will actually assess based on whatever that you have submitted. So assuming that you don't really need the English, right, then they'll tell you that, oh, okay, there's actually this English placement test. Then from there, you can tell them that whether you want to take. If not, you can tell them that my result for IELTS is only out in July, and you will actually give the result. So depending on what is the result, then they will advise you whether you need to go through the CEL program or not. Okay, we have one question for other unis such as NTU and NUS, which takes 3 years as compared to SIM DIT 1 year plus UOW. Will I be lacking in certain modules or items that other people in NTU or NUS are studying? Okay, so maybe even later you can help to add in. Okay, so first of all, to answer these questions, okay, you will then need to look into modules by modules per se. Okay, because when you look at NTU and NUS, I would say that the main difference is that for our DIT, we are really very focused in IT modules. We don't actually have those generic or general electives which can actually help to balance out, like such as like business. There are some, if we were to look at NTU and NUS, they do actually have general electives. Those more soft skill modules, right? That's one aspect. For DIT itself, why we are able to compare ourselves like 1 year equivalent to UOW 1 year is because we really zoom in to all the technical modules that is required, such that the student is able to exempt from the first year. Number two, which is the internship. NTU and NUS, they do actually factor in internship. Okay, for us, our internship is more on voluntary basis and is out of the curriculum. So if let's say you are taking, assuming you are taking DIT 1 year and UOW 2 years, right? Okay, then you would like to take internship. Then depending on at which juncture, you might have to apply leave of absence. Okay, so that you can actually embark on your internship and then resume back. So in a way, it's kind of similar. The only difference is that for NTU and NUS, they actually embedded within the entire program structure. For us, because it's not compulsory, therefore it doesn't.
Yes.
Okay, so if you are actually asking, okay, if we think from another perspective, we were actually asking, oh, this 3 years compared to the other 3 years in terms of the technical module. Okay, so let's say because UOW when you come out is actually the bachelor in the IT, right? So comparing with NUS and NTU IT, we won't. Am I right to say that in terms of the technical modules itself, we won't lose out? In fact, we cover
correct.
them.
Correct. So as per what Joycelyn said, right, you won't lose out in terms of the technical module, right? Mainly actually, also to add on to what Joycelyn said, the internship, right? Sometimes it could be 6 months, in NTU, NUS programs. So ours, we don't enforce students must embark on the internship. So basically, all the terms, right, like in DIT, all the 12 months, all the 4 terms, you will be actually occupied fully, almost fully, right? So you can only take internship, during the term break, lah. All right, and then therefore your internship when you take here in DIT, right, is actually much shorter as compared to students who are taking internship at NTU and US. That's the first thing, right? And then second is actually our technical modules, right? The contact hours that we have with the students is actually the same as those in NTU and US, right? So basically, to answer your question, you are not really lacking. Okay, and on top of that, NTU, NUS, sometimes they also have this voluntary work to do, right? If they are staying in hostel, they have to join some CCA. So a lot of other things going on. Okay, but in SIM, right, everything is focused. Okay, everything is focused. So students, okay, it's not like, oh, it's compulsory, you must join certain voluntary clubs, or you must, do this internship before you can complete the course. Right, and because of this, right, is the reason why your DIT 12 months is such a focused program, I would say. All right, so I hope that I have answered your question.
Are international students also able to apply internship if they want OSC? What is OSC?
Of course, if they want, of course.
Oh,
So he's
okay.
asking, if the students want, can they apply internship?
Okay, so for this internship, right, if you are looking at the local one, then I'm afraid the answer is no. Okay, but our career office, they are also hooking up with global countries itself. Okay, so that the international students, depending on which country they are from, whether to seek opportunity back in the hometown. Okay, the reason is because of the fact that international students are holding on to student pass. So internship is kind of like a form of employment, although it's not a full-time base, but there's regulations governed by the ICA when they actually give out this student pass. That's the reason why it doesn't allow. Okay, we have another one. As for the amount of spaces available for DIT, will it be very limited, or will there be sufficient slot for all applicants to meet the entry? If it's limited, what are the acceptance rates? Okay, as of now, okay, the DIT started just last year. Okay, so far we have yet to put in a cap. Okay, it's getting popular and popular. So at this moment, we don't hear any news. So basically, if right now you have one A level, and yeah, if you have one A level, the chances that yes, you will be able to accept it. Lastly, where are the lecturers for DIT from? Are they from UOW or UOL? Okay, so for our lecturers for DIT itself, okay, in fact, the pool of these lecturers within the industry is actually quite closely knitted. So you will be able to see them. Yes, some of them are from UOW, some of them are actually from UOL. But when we say some of them are from UOW and UOL, we are not referring to the faculty lecturers flying from UOW and flying from UOL. We are referring to lecturers that are also teaching in UOW and teaching in UOL.
Correct. Yeah, so maybe to add on to Joycelyn, so the amount of spaces for DIT, right? So yeah, like what she say, lor, at the moment, if let's say you have a H2 pass, usually should be okay lah. Okay, but if let's say due to popular demand, we might be raising the bar lah. Okay, so yeah, H2 pass lor. The admission criteria is still H2 pass.
Today nobody asked about GCA.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I just share for yes, just now like what we mentioned, ours is very focused in terms of the academic wise, our diploma and stuff. We only zoom into all the technical. I mean for a very simple reason because of the fact whereby ours is actually private. Okay, so one added so-called competitiveness is the duration. So that's why ours is very concentrated. Okay, we do actually have 70 plus TCAs and sports. Okay, now so if and of course all these are being students who want to actually join them, which we strongly encourage so because so that you can actually have a balance and a holistic education. Okay, they are out of the curriculum time. Okay, so do actually look into the clubs and sports possible. Okay, we have one question here says, are state lecturers teaching full-time in SIM or are they part-time lecturers in other unis such as NUS? Okay, we do actually have associates, mainly associates. Mr. Ko is our full-time. He's the head of program and he's also teaching in either the ITFS or the DIT program. Okay, so we do actually have a mix.
Yeah, mix, correct.
Any other questions? For DIT program, is it a continuous 12-month program or there are semester breaks? Okay, maybe maybe I give you one typical term. Okay, DIT is 12 months, total 4 terms, right? Typically each term 3 months, and the lessons are carried out for about 7 weeks. Okay, 7 weeks itself. So during that 7 weeks, the answer is yes, every day, except for Sunday and public holiday. Every day we have lessons. Okay, although we are talking about 2 modules per term, but every module we are talking about 60 hours of lessons.
Yes.
Okay, so every week you will see the same lecturer at least 3 times. Okay, so if the lecturer is teaching module 1, you'll see him 3 times over that week itself. Now, so if you ask, then will there be a break? Okay, the break will then be after your assessment, your final term assessment, while the school is processing your results. So mainly, okay, so let's say your term starts in October. Okay, so yes, you're able to celebrate your Christmas. Okay, because your terms were so-called the holiday, or rather the last day of class, and the assessment will end by end of November. So after that, right, you can celebrate until 2nd January, then the term starts. So the cycle repeats. Then as for CNY, then it's a question mark. It depends. Okay, because sometimes the CNY is right smack in January. So I'm sorry to say that you won't actually have the kind of luxury we will still follow the public holiday, just that we won't actually have a break. And sad to say, to add things worse, we still have assessment ongoing during that period itself. Okay, so we have this questions that say, sorry, I missed the answer. Can use DIT for local uni application? Okay, the answer is no. Okay, if you are looking at local uni full-time application, the answer is no. All right. Okay, as mentioned, the local unis will definitely have to support the local full-time polytechnic courses.
Yeah, the question.
Okay, this is a very good one. No, don't worry. You can keep your questions on coming. This is the reason for this platform. So he's asking, okay, he will be applying this after he ORD. Currently, I believe he's going for MS. So he asked, would it be useful if we pick up a bit of programming, example Python programming, or should he learn other languages in advance? Would it benefit in any way?
Okay, so this one maybe, yeah, I would like to answer this. So okay, not sure nowadays NS when they ORD would they still get a credit. Okay, I remember back then when I ORD, I did get some NS credit lah. So the NS credit can be used to learn some of this programming. Okay, so if you, let's say you manage to not only NS credit, if you take up courses lah, okay, any courses paid or free, as long as you pick it up a little bit of basic Python and Java, it would definitely benefit you. Okay, it will definitely benefit you. So at the same time, I would also like to clarify here, right? So for DIT, ITFS programming modules, okay, students will be taught the basic, that means taught from scratch lah. Essentially assuming that students don't have any background knowledge. However, okay, because some students might find it that the number of hours they have exposed to this programming are still insufficient, even though the lessons are taught right from the scratch. So if, let's say, you need more time to digest the materials, then yes, definitely it will be useful, to come into DIT with, a Python and a Java basic. Yeah, definitely will be useful. Okay. If you say other language, not necessary lah. I think if you take up Python and Java, is more than sufficient, because these two actually cover a lot of different other programming languages as well. Okay.
Maybe Wilburn, you would like to share with them. I think the other common question that yesterday prospect asked is in terms of what are the software, whether they are the license, whether they need to pay or not. Whether on the coffee cup.
Correct. Okay. Yes. So the software that you will probably need, right, will also mean that it is actually good to have a laptop, right? It will be good to have a laptop. So, okay, I'm not talking about, those Alienware, or you go and buy those expensive gaming laptop. Okay, I mean, if you're studying, don't buy gaming laptop lah. Okay, but anyway, so for laptop wise, okay, if you see something that's around the price range of about $1,000 to $2, right, that's more than sufficient to actually use all the way even up to undergrad level. Okay, so on that, then you will also, because you'll be using some of this software, especially for those programming modules. So all this software, could then be installed on your laptop as well. So for programming module software that you'll be looking at, okay, at least for, at least one by one. For ITFS first, ITFS for your web programming, you need Coffee Cup. Right, Coffee Cup. So the Coffee Cup HTML editor is free. Okay, you can download for free. Okay, it's legit free. Okay, it's not any pirated or anything. Okay, so you can download Coffee Cup, install on your computer. Well, I answer one by one first. So I answer the software, then I answer the question about the Java. Okay, so Coffee Cup for ITFS. Okay, Coffee Cup HTML editor. At the same time, okay, your lecturer might also go through another software that's called the Atom Editor. Okay, for ITFS. But Atom Editor, you can wait until you come in for lesson. But prior coming to lesson, Coffee Cup is the basic lah. Okay, so for ITFS, on top of Coffee Cup for programming, you will also need Microsoft Word, okay, Microsoft Excel, and Microsoft PowerPoint. Basically, the whole Microsoft Office suite. It'll be good to have it installed on your computer. Okay, it's not recommended to use Google Docs, okay, or any of the Google products, because sometimes the format might be different. So I will still strongly suggest students to use the Microsoft Office suite plus the Coffee Cup editor for ITFS. Okay, now then move on to DIT. DIT, the amount of software that you need is actually much more complex, and of course, many more. Okay, so for first one, business statistics with Python, obviously you will be dealing with Microsoft Excel, okay, and as well as Wing Personal, right, for problem solving. So Wing Personal for Python, Microsoft Excel for business statistics, and then moving on, you will also need for Java. Okay, so Java, you will need NetBeans, or if you're using Eclipse, okay, then you can install that on your computer as well. Okay, then moving on in term 3, you have database. Database, you will need MySQL, or in short, MySQL, installed on your computer. All right, and then for IT project management, you will need Microsoft Teams, okay, 2013 and above. So for Microsoft Teams, I believe is a licensed version. So if let's say you can't procure the licensed version of Microsoft Teams, ideally there will be labs lah. If we go back to normalcy, right? Then you'll be using Microsoft Teams in labs. Okay. Now let me answer the question: does Java refer to Java or JavaScript, or both included? Okay. So for Java, all right, if you're only entering to DIT directly, there's no need to touch JavaScript. Okay, JavaScript is only for your web programming. All right, so Java is just Java without the JavaScript. So unless you are coming in for the ITFS, then you will need JavaScript and Java. Okay, there are two different languages. Okay, there are two different languages. JavaScript is mainly for web programming. Okay, and Java is for application. All right. Next, I'm currently doing Python basic intermediate courses on Soho Learn, and should be have pretty sufficient time to OT learn some programming. Yeah, correct. Then definitely you will find that you have an easier time, okay, with Python, right?
Okay, we have this question. Can students who have 5 O-level passes apply for DIT and not foundation? The answer is no. Okay, the minimum admission criteria for direct entry to DIT is 1 GCA A-level H2 pass. So for O-level, minimum 3 O-level for ITSS. Reason is because of the exemptions. Okay, the exemptions to the university partner that we have. All right. Is there any questions? Okay, never mind. Okay, if let's say you couldn't think of one now, or later on after our sessions, then you suddenly think of, oh, actually I got this question to ask. Okay, you can actually drop in again, because we still have another team who's on site to answer all the questions on live. Okay, so that you can just talk into the webinar. Okay, if there's no further questions, thank you so much. Okay, to this usually do. Okay, okay, you guys have a great day and continue to have a good weekend ahead. Okay, so that's all for our sessions today, and we hope that we have answered all of your queries and have give you more insights to our program. Okay, so thank you, Ribun.
Thank you all. Bye bye.
Yeah. Okay. Bye bye.